So we will start our class, and you all know we will be discussing on MPA-13, isn't it? Public System Management. So public system management, you all are aware of it. Now I would like to know, do you want the whole class in purely English, or you want some other language to be used? Hello?
Ma'am, you can teach in English and then translate it to Odia or make it understand in Odia. That will be nice for everyone.
All are Orias in this class?
Yes, ma'am.
I doubt.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, then no problem, no problem. First, you should understand this paper is about public systems management, and we have 20 units, and we have 8 classes. I mean 8 days. No, not 8 class. So each class is of 2 hours. That means we have 16 hours in our hand. While going through your that course material that you have received, I could make out that you by now you might have understood what is the new thrust of administration. Now, the new thrust of administration, what you see today, you, what what is the difference today we find, though you were not born where in 1960s and 70s, but now what you find the players are too many. You have public sector, you have private sector, you also have a have organizations which are autonomous in nature, like the university, the uh, the airport regulatory authority or the telecom regulatory authority. We have autonomous organizations which are having some autonomy. At the same time, they are regulated by the government. We have also some non-state actors like non-governmental organizations, civil society organizations, those who have the experience of working in any NGO. NGO ରେ ଯେଉଁମାନେ କାମ କରିଛନ୍ତି, if you are doing this course, you might be knowing that what are the constraints today, and it was what were the facilities we were enjoying previously, that you can make a difference. Why is it so? So, the system has become more accountable. So you have to give all data regarding your organization, with whom you are keeping your relationship. If you are having a FCRA, the government is having some regulations, like you must give the data from where you are getting the money, how you are spending the money, and the government has also made regulations like this much amount is to be spent on establishment of the organization, and so on and so forth. So that means what you are finding is that we have all these organizations, public sector, like we have the Coal India, we have the BPCL, Bharat Petroleum Corporation, we have Indian Oil, like that. And we also have private sector like Infosys, Wipro, and many new organizations about which we cannot name, number of organizations. And we have also the uh, parastatal organizations like the organizations which are created by the Society Registration Act, but contributing a lot to the society, like you see the KIT University or the KISS University or the Soya University, all these autonomous organizations, they have a governing body, they are working on their own, but they are regulated by the rules and regulations of the state. Now, what is the basis of the regulations of the state? The basis of the regulation of the state is the constitution. So, it is not that the constitution is dying out. So, today, understand, if you just observe what is happening around you, you will be able to understand the public systems management. Now, what is a public system? See, giving ration cards, distributing public goods through the ration card. Public goods means you may think it is food grains. You may think those who have the ration card, they are also having the health card also, the health insurance card. So you can just make out that these uh, this delivery of public services is actually public systems management. In many cases, in the non-governmental organizations, the non-state actors are also a part of this public systems management. Now, this is what is, you must have a clear understanding of public systems management, because as students of public administration, you must know how the administration is being managed today in 21st century. Now, let me tell you, since my class is the last one uh, in the chain, probably you can make out that how the state was in 1970s, in 1980s, so that matter in 20th century, and how the state in 21st century. Let me tell you, when I was in the school, we were buying textbooks. We were having our own uniforms, but we never had to pay the tuition fees, and that is also happening today. Today, there is some more part of that, because in India we have right to education. So we have the government is supplying textbooks. Government is supplying, both the central government and the state government. Central government is not supplying uniforms, but the state government is supplying uniforms, textbooks, and across the country we have midday meal, so that nutrition of the children are maintained, because children cannot have their studies with an empty stomach, and we have so many poor people. So we are trying to ensure food security through the public distribution system, and through the and more nutrition to the children through the midday meal. We have in Odisha, we have extended it from 8th class to 10th class, and we are also giving some food supplements or nutrition supplements to adolescent girls. So why are we doing it? Because it is there in the constitution, that the constitution, the state must work towards, you know ensuring adequate standard of living for all. So now you just understand, have a clear idea that no state functions without a constitution. Now, how the state functions when there is uh, India has a written document, the Constitution. US has a written Constitution. Many countries have written Constitution. In fact, almost all countries. But do we have a country where we do not have a Constitution? Can you name a country? It is United Kingdom. So the country which is not having a constitution, how the country is managed? Whether you have a constitution or not having a constitution, but the country considers certain laws as supreme laws, or you can say the foundational principles of administration. So even Great Britain has certain laws made by the parliament, which are the foundational principles of governance or all other governance, all other the way the state is functioning. So the functioning of the state is based on certain foundational principles. You may name it as the constitution. So what is more important is that if you are having a paper on public system management, you must know what is the constitutional framework. That is there in our unit 3. Public system and some part of the paper is just a repetition of what you know in other papers. So there is a constitutional framework. Now, if we have a constitutional framework, how things are managed, then therefore, is it that the constitutional framework functions properly always, or function, or do we have some debates regarding it? Now you see, uh, today the debate is that the constitution is being manipulated, or the basics of the constitution is being changed. One group is criticizing the other group, that the other group is hammering on the constitution. ତାମାନେ constitution ସମ୍ବିଧାନର କିଛି important foundational principle କୁ ଆଘାତ କରୁଛି ବା ତାକୁ ମାନୁ ନାହିଁ ବା whatever it is. But when you have this is the political context of public system management. If you have a democratic state, you may criticize, but can you go against it? No, because the constitution has made a framework, and within that framework the political system of the country operates. Since we have a democratic political system, and the democratic political system is being structured on the basis of the constitution. Now you understand the argument. So in the constitution it is there that each citizen of India will participate in the formation of the government in every 5 years. In every 5 years we will be having the election. So for that matter, we have a constitutional structure, that is the Election Commission of India. For how do we try to operate the system? Whether any state has the ability or has the freedom to defy the central government. Yes, the constitution. How some states are saying that we will, when the Wakaf Act was amended, some states said that we will not obey it. So how the ruling party, or it was said in the parliament, the floor of Lok Sabha, that everybody must obey the law because the law has been made by the parliament. That means parliament is the supreme authority to make the law. But while making the law, the parliament cannot violate the constitution. The parliamentarians, members of parliament, cannot violate the constitution. So if they violate, what will happen? Then the judiciary is there to examine whether the law made by the parliament is constitutional or not. You are well aware of the fact that today the Waqf Amendment Act is under judicial review. So you just try to understand that even if there is a political context to public system management, that different political parties have their ideology, and when they come to power, they try to uh, mold the administration or the goals as per their ideology. So this is the political context. But however, even if they have the majority, can they go against the constitution? No, because citizens have the power to make an appeal to the apex court of the country. ତେଣୁ ଯାହାଟା ଘଟୁଛି ଆମର ଚାରି ଦିଗ ମାନେ ଆମ ଚାରିପଟରେ ତାକୁ ଯଦି ବୁଝିବାକୁ ଚେଷ୍ଟା କରିବ ତାହେଲେ you can understand this public system management, and more important is the word public. Okay, so see, the citizens have the power. Citizens have been empowered by the constitution to challenge the new amendments to the Waqf Act. So the challenge is the Supreme Court. And if the Supreme Court will say no, it is okay. The amendments do not violate the principles of the constitution, then everybody has to accept it. Okay, so this is the political context. Now, what is the socio-economic context? Whether the parliamentarians cannot make such law which will go against the social and economic development of the country. Now, we have a mixed economy. Still, we are following the the new liberal principles of economy. But still, we have some subsidized, under the new principles, there should be an end to subsidies. But still, we are continuing with subsidies in health, subsidies in education, subsidies in food distribution. Those who require, the state must come forward to give them. Now, here also another debate you must keep. Please take note of these things. If you do not take note of these things, you cannot answer the questions that will be asked critically. Now, let me tell you, before 1980s, in 1970s, Gunnar Myrdal, a social scientist, wrote a book, Asian Drama. And there he categorized state into hard state and soft state. Okay. What is a hard state? Hard state means the state which does not tolerate violation of laws and give stringent punishments for that. What is a soft state? If you commit a mistake, you can, with a little punishment, or even sometimes you have no punishment, just you are given a warning, then you are scot free. Gunnar Myrdal, in his Asian Drama book, said India is a soft state. Because everybody, that is committing mistake, doing corruption, and finally, somehow or other, they are free from it, not getting any punishment. So he termed the state as a sub-state. Now the interpretation is saying that now the state has become a hard state. That means for every mistake, the state is keeping you, uh, trying to fix some punishments or some uh, warnings for you. So basically punishments. If the state is giving punishment, that means that is called, you are calling the state as a soft state, as a hard state. Okay, so you keep this. Why the state is becoming a hard state today? Because the state has become a regulatory authority. State has, with the role of the state today is that of an umpire. Now, previously, how the state was behaving? The previously the state was the just like a father figure, a state is a large family, and the rulers are for just like fathers. So they must have a kind heart, and they must uh, forgive. So therefore, the state is a sub-state. Now, what is the role of the state? Now, the role of the state is that the state is an umpire between public sector and private sector, individual and other public authorities. So, here, if there is any violation of rules and regulations, the regulatory authority of the state will impose punishments on you. So I hope you now have understood what is this public systems management. Now you have, uh, if somebody tells you, how will you define public administration today? Today, public administration is not just government; it is government in action. That is governance. You all know that. If public administration today is governance, that means government is the structure of the government, and governance is uh, the way the government is functioning for the welfare of the people, citizens and non-citizens. Now, what is this? Previously, the public administration was not operating in a market society. Previously, the public administration was operating within a bureaucratic model. That means, besides the bureaucracy, there was no other organization which was controlling the activities of the individual. I hope you understand it. That means we are having the bureaucracy today, but even the bureaucracy today is being assisted by other organizations like mm, today we have all those corporate sectors are also government is taking the help of corporate sectors to provide some services to the people, like today in Odisha you all must be knowing that the the distribution of power is being assigned to tatas. So this is how the system is. uh, I can also give you what is a parastatal organization. We have autonomous organizations like you can call it as a public sector like BSNL. So, so public systems management is a new dimension to the discipline of public administration. How? When in 1970s, you all know that after the public administration, the father of the public administration is Woodrow Wilson. How Woodrow Wilson, when he was a undergraduate student, he was much worried about the malfunctioning of the government in United States. There was a movement. Take note of this movement. You can later on Google and read on it. Progressive movement in America, United States. So when Wilson was a student, undergrad student, he was a part of this progressive movement. Now, he was keen to see a performing administration in United States. So he was a student of political science. So he said, when you are mixing, policy making, which is done by the political leaders, with the execution of policy, all these problems are coming. So you all know that he gave us a theory that is politico-administrative dichotomy. That means policy making should be separated from policy execution because policy execution is more scientific. Uh, Woodrow Wilson did not pursue academics for long. So this approach of Wilson could not could not get much attention. In his article, he had written that administration is business. How administration can be business? Because there is a public character to administration. Many a times in UPSC, this small sentence comes for elaboration. Administration is business means administration can be compared with business in the sense that the way in business we do calculation of profit and loss, the most profitable strategy is adopted. Similarly, in administration, the most performing strategy, take note of it, the most effective strategy is to be adopted so that delivery of public services is to the optimum. That means it should reach to the last mile in the state. It should it must reach to the weakest, poorest of poor. So that is what was understood by effectiveness of public system delivery. Now, all of you know, if you have not known later on, you will be able to know about it, that in 1960s, the United States gave, invested a huge amount of money to do research in developing countries. You must have read all these things in your administrative theory paper. If you have not read, you will be able to read this. So, United States invested much money to do research in developing countries. Why did they spend so much money? Because they thought the system, they wanted to replicate their system in Afro-Asian countries. But they found that their system is not working perfectly in Afro-Asian countries. Reasons are many because their people were educated, our people were not educated. The foreigners were imposing that system. Our people were not ready for that system. But however, they made much research, and this research is being coined as comparative public administration, and the father of this comparative public administration is called Frederick or Ferrelhadi, or even this comparative public administration also created a field called development administration. And the father of development administration, I mean, those who focused more on development administration, they were Edward Wedner, George Gant, all these people. So you can just see how uh, they did research and they found out that system is not working properly. So what you find is that more theories which became critical of the bureaucratic system. So theory which became critical of the bureaucratic system is the public choice theory of 1970s. Is new public administration became critical, and later on a new theory came, that is new public management, NPM approach. And in 1970s they they became very the public choice approach said that you know actually the bureaucracy is not working properly. So therefore, what they did, uh, the financial institutions, it is not there in your uh, study material. So please take note of it. You can Google and find out. The financial institutions which funds the developing activities in Afro-Asian and Latin American third world countries. These financial institutions like World Bank and International Monetary Fund. International Monetary Fund provides loan for meeting the adverse balance of payment situation. I hope you understand what is BOP. Balance of payment situation means, you are a developing country. You have nothing. You are importing machineries. You are importing also food grain. ଆମେ ଆଗରୁ ଗହମ ଆମଦାନୀ ମାନେ ଗହମ ଆମେ ଆଗରୁ import କରୁଥିଲୁ. You are also importing technology. So, but you have less manufactured goods. So your exports are less and import is more. If your export is less and import is more, then there is a deficit balance in your country, in your economy. That means, because you all must be knowing that we cannot make payment in terms of rupee for our imports. If you are getting anything from UK or from Germany or from US, then we have to make the payment in terms of international currency, that is American dollar. Now, if we do not have matching export, then you do not have that international currency. Then you take international currency from the open market, or you request International Monetary Fund to give you that money, and you will return it. You say, you know, these are all soft loans and all. What does the World Bank do? World Bank provides you funds for your dams, for your hydroelectric projects, for your nuclear stations. Like, you do not, the developing country or the underdeveloped country had no such funds, huge funds to spend on these infrastructural development. You want roads, you want railways, you want airports. So all for all these, you get money from the World Bank. So that was going on from 1945. Actually, this IMF was created. So it was going on in 50s, in 60s, and in 70s. There was huge, huge backlog. Some countries, Latin American countries, African countries, could not make the payment. So when they could not make the payment, World Bank and IMF together, because all these industrialized nations, they are the more, they contribute more to these financial institutions. So they said, no, you do not have repaying capacity. Why should you give you loan? ଯେମିତିକା କି ତୁମ ଘରେ ଯିଏ ଗୋଟେ maid କାମ କରୁଛି, if somebody is working in your house, She asks you for 1 lakh. Will you give her? No. You might give her 10, 15, 20, but not 1 lakh because you know the lady doesn't have the repaying capacity. Similarly, IMF and World Bank said that, you just tell us how will you make the payment. Your economy is in a bad state. How will you make the payment? So, in the beginning of 1980s, 1981, they came out with a, a proposal that is called, or you can say policy guideline, that is called SAP, SAP, Structural Adjustment Program. If you just adjust your structures, governance structures, we will be able to give you payment. So that is why the name is like that, Structural Adjustment Program. Please take note of this thing and later on you Google up. So what is the core theme of the Structural Adjustment Program? The core theme of the Structural Adjustment Program is you, uh, the first thing is you allow, you liberalize your economy, you allow foreign investors to come to you, invest in your country, you allow your market to the foreign companies. That means the foreign companies will uh, sell their products in our country, and even your country will be able to sell your products in the foreign market, because gradually now we do it. If you go to Singapore, that is area called Little India. It, in every country you will find such things. But at that point of time, in 1980s, this was not the condition of India. And India was also not having international currency. So also all other countries uh, were also in the similar situation. So this is the period, when uh, 1968 we had the new public administration, where the scholars of public administration said that traditional public administration is not uh, explaining the public administration properly. We have many theories regarding that. Even we have, if you read the administrative theories, you will find that uh, MP Follett talks about power with, later on those theories like Abraham Maslow, Charles Agiris, Chester Bernard, they talk about more more focus should be given on the human element of administration. So this is how you will find that in 1968, the first Minnebrook Conference in Public Administration happened, where they were critical of the traditional model of public administration, that is politico-administrative dichotomy, and they said that we need to look at public administration from a new perspective. And then comes in 1988 the new approach, that is new public management. So this is the time, the 1980s, later part of 1980s, beginning of 1990s, that we evolved this concept called public systems management. So basically it is in the beginning of 90s when the structural literally World Bank and International Monetary Fund compelled each and every third world country to accept a structural adjustment program. India rejected it, objected to it, and brought many administrative reforms at its level. introduced many reforms into the public sector. But however, Indian economy was in such a bad state that finally when Manmohan Singh, the late Prime Minister, was the Finance Minister, he convinced the government to accept the new economic policy, and we accepted the LPG model of economy, that is liberalization, privatization, and globalization. That means loosening the regulations on doing business, that is liberalization, allowing the private sector to operate more freely, that is privatization. That means if the public sector is not working properly, not functioning effectively, then you can have this investment. You can sell the public sector and you can utilize the money for other developmental activities. Then you have globalization. That means you will open your market to the world, to other countries. They can invest here, they can sell their products here. Similarly, you can invest in the country, and you can also uh, in other countries, and you can also sell your products in other countries. So this was the system that evolved in the early 1990s with a distinct new thrust. So now you understand. I hope now you understand the background of public systems management. Now you understand. You understand what is public. Public is, the publicness of any management, like where you are uh, focusing on public welfare, public interest. That is public. Now, what is systems? Systems is, you know, combination of resources. You are combining all resources. All resources means what? Take note of this. Resources means not material resources, not natural resources. Resources means both material and human resources. That means you are upskilling your human resources. You are developing the skills of your human resources. And at the same time, you are also uh, utilizing the material resources to the optimum. That means here you are converting inputs into outputs. That is the meaning of the system. You know, if you have a inverter, what happens? You charge the inverter when there is line, electricity is there, then the inverter stores electricity, power, and when the electricity is not there, the inverter helps to light your bulb or fan or something. So that is to convert inputs into outputs. That is system. So you will always want that there is efficiency in the system. So how can you ensure efficiency? So you are preferring to have more skilled personnel. You are preferring to have more newer techniques of financial management. You are also preferring to have more scientific management of the market, the distribution of public goods like health, education, food security, and all these things. So any public systems is believing in the management concept. Like you have heard about the theorist Peter Drucker, who the Peter Drucker said management is common to all organizations. Similarly, Henry Fayol also said management is common to all organizations. So, what you are doing there, all organize, even if any NGO is having little money, any household is having little income, but the members of the household, those who are adult members of the household, they try to make a budget, they try to spend according to the budget. They try to uh, get maximum utility from the existing income. So that means these are all strategic. These all these things happen because of strategic planning. So now you can just make out the public systems management comprises several subsystems. It can be education system, it can be health system, it can be the public distribution system. ନା ସବୁ ଜାଗାରେ ଆମେ ସିଷ୍ଟମ ଲଗାଉଛୁ, ତ ସିଷ୍ଟମର ଅର୍ଥ ସହଜରେ ବର୍ତ୍ତମାନ ବୁଝିପାରିବ. So each of the subsystem aims at achieving certain prescribed goals. How they will manage the human resources, how they will manage the finance, how they will manage the material resources. So therefore, every subsystem prepares a broad framework of rules, regulations, so that the system can perform effectively. Now, all these rules and regulations, while the system develops these rules and regulations, naturally the system keeps in mind the constitutional framework, the existing legal framework of the country. I hope I am audible. You are able to get my point. ବୁଝି ହଉଛି ନା ନାହିଁ? You must be responsive. Every public system functions within the domain of state, law, and politics. But however, it pursues public interest. So you cannot doubt any policy saying that it only serves private interest. You may say so, it serves the interest of only one political party, but however, you cannot, when the defined authority, assigned authority makes a rule, you cannot say that it is not a public policy. So you can just make out. So basically, now you have understood. If we conclude, or if we just make what is public system, you will think that it is a public systems management is concerned with the designing and operation of public services. Okay, and basically, it is more concerned about having scientific execution of public policies. So if you want scientific execution of public policies, you cannot have bureaucrats just, writing, not doing any proper work as previously it happened, not knowing the updates in administration. Now bureaucrats must be well versed about the uh, recent developments in administration. So today, in the present context, in 21st century, every bureaucrat is considered as a manager, and you can call the present government is a managerial government. So what this reform process, what are the core principles of this reform process? Privatization, and deregulation. You're having less regulation regarding doing business. Establishing market-like mechanisms. What is this market-like mechanism? Basically creating a competitive environment. We have made BSNL autonomous. Previously, it was under the government. To get a telephone line, we have to uh, approach a MP or MLA, or if you are a doctor, you will be given preference to have a telephone. Today it is not so, because in the market we have number of service providers who are providing service in the telecom sector, including the government. So this is a market situation. Even the government, the public sector has to compete with the other private companies. So establishing a market-like mechanism and decentralization, that means you are giving more focus to the local bodies. You are giving local bodies, may not necessarily local governance, but you you are saying that we must have a uniform policy, but local uh, at the local level, people must have some freedom to execute the policy. Like suppose in a dry area, all water bodies have dried up. ସେଠି ବ୍ଲିଚିଂ ପାଉଡର ପକେଇଲେ କ'ଣ ହବ? ଦରକାର ନାହିଁ, wastage of money. So this is how. So there the health department can, the local level health officials can just must have freedom to take decisions regarding this. Debureaucratization, that means bureaucracy is not the only organization which providing services. There is no monopoly about bureaucracy. There are many organizations which are providing this. So basically what you are doing, you are creating competitive public systems. You have today in the telecom sector many such organizations, and depends on their strategic planning how they will attract the people. So the people who are these people? So naturally they are having strategic planning to attract the people, means these people are rational human beings who can take rational decisions. That means these people are conscious consumers, must have quality products. Conscious consumers and must have quality products. So this is actually is the public, the foundation of the public system management. It is said that it is basically a product of the new right school of thought, no, which actually developed, which was born in the uh, Chicago University in the United States in 1970. This new right school of thought propagated the idea of non-interference by the government in the economy, as it created distortions in the market. That means if the government is providing services, then the government is creating monopolies. There is no competition, there is no market-like mechanism. So even if the government provides bad products, bad services, substandard services, people have no choice. So therefore, the new right philosophy, it demanded for minimum role for the government uh, and maximum role for the government. I mean the people. So therefore, the new right philosophy uh, wanted the new right philosophy also became critical of, as I said, told you, the bureaucracy, because they said the bureaucracy is not working properly. They were also critical of the Herbert Simon's rationalist decision making model, because they said, consumer is not always making rational decisions. You must have, so, the market mechanisms must be there to allow the consumer to make uh, the best possible decision. So if you uh, so the public choice theory is the new right philosophy, the public choice theory, and the new property rights theory. What is this new property rights theory? If I have made a company, I am not the only owner of that company. The company must be, because the company must open itself to the market, and others must be shareholders in the company. So if you are buying the shares of Tata company, Indian Oil, even the public sector is entering in the stock market today. That means partly you are also the owner of that company. So this is the new property rights theory that was propagated by those who talked about public systems management. Because if you have shareholders, then if you have more owners, more diverse ownership over a property, then the manager who is working in that company is accountable to the shareholders and will function properly, effectively, because there are so many shareholders uh, which will put questions to the owner. It also, you know, the owner is the uh, principal personality. Who is the agent? The manager. The manager agrees to perform tasks on behalf of the principal authority, and in return, the principal agrees to reward the agent. So there is a contract, Even if you are of 20, 25 years old, you might get a annual package of 45 lakhs, because as an agent, you are more valuable to the principal, because you have that capability of strategic planning. You might not have an MBA degree, but you have that capability of strategic planning. You have that capability of uh, taking uh, good decisions for the company, for which the company is making profit. Then your value in the market enhances. Doesn't matter if you are of 20 years or 22 years or 25 years. Even today, what you find, students just having a graduation degree are hired for 20 lakhs per annum or 25 lakhs per annum in good colleges like the Stephens College of Delhi and other such colleges, because the way the college develops their skill, good companies come to their college and accordingly they examine the students and uh, give them take hire them with a high salary. So the focus of the Present system, as I told you, is uh, managerial approach, which wants that administration should be considered as business. You must adjust your structures properly so that the public system can function effectively. So this is how you remember. Uh, no, nothing new. Same things will be there in the second unit. So you must understand uh, what exactly is the central tendencies of this concept of public systems management. So number one, organizational restructuring. Number two, increasing use of market type mechanisms. If you're providing services, you must charge for it. Maybe the charge is very less, but you must charge for it. Nothing is in free. You must charge for it, and you must provide quality services because the citizen is a consumer. Increasing emphasis on result rather than the process. Okay. So this is how you should understand public system management. So public system management simply means administration plus management. Keep this in mind. Administration and plus management. If you are giving and if you are your inputs are very qualitative, you must get outputs accordingly. Okay. So basically, remember what is important is result, what is important is strategic planning, what is important is skilled personnel. The, here's, state being the monopoly doesn't uh, come to the question at all. Even in every sphere, whether it is, government sold Air India to Tatas. Why? Because the government wanted to introduce managerialism in the aviation sector. So government downsizing the government, and government is just a steering, just an umpire. So basically, remember, this public system management approach offers a more pragmatic approach to achieve the goals of the organization. So now you see public system management giving more emphasis on productivity, more emphasis on delivery of services, more emphasis on decentralization. That means if you are providing services, what is the necessity that you should provide the services at Bhubaneswar or at Delhi? You must reach to the last mile. That means you must provide the services at the doorsteps. ଯେଉଁ ଲୋକମାନେ ଆସିକିରି ଆଡମିନିଷ୍ଟ୍ରେସନ ପାଖରୁ ଅଫିସରୁ ଆସିକି ତାଙ୍କର ଭତ୍ତାଟା ନେଇପାରିବେ ନାହିଁ, ତୁମେ ତାଙ୍କୁ ଡୋର ଷ୍ଟେପରେ ନେଇକି ଦବ, ତୁମେ ତାଙ୍କୁ ତାଙ୍କ ଘର ପାଖରେ ଦବ. If they are not able to come to the hospital, the way the Asa Didis are functioning, if they are not able to come to the hospital, you must provide the health facilities at their doorsteps. You must go to their, you must provide, make such arrangement that the health services should reach the beneficiary. So such type of public policy should be there. And here the most important thing is accountability. How can you become effective? If the system is accountable, then you can become, the delivery can become more effective. Basically, you can track your speed post. You can track everything that, suppose you have uh, appeal to the government. In the grievance, there is a portal of grievance redressal. So here, if you want to ensure accountability, naturally, here digital governance comes into the picture. Smart governance comes into the picture. You must make governance more simple, more responsive, more accountable, and more transparent. People must not crowd the government office. Everything is there in the public domain. If they want any information, they can get it from the public domain, because all important informations are available in the public domain under the Right to Information Act. So, what you find is that uh, public system management, remember, public systems management adopts a collaborative and networking approach, a network of public, private, and voluntary sector in solving community problems, providing public services. Remember, three actors: public, that means the government; private, and third is the voluntary sector, non-profit making organizations. And here there is a participatory management model. If you are allowing the private sector for delivering public services, you are, or the voluntary sector for delivering public services, you are just adopting a participatory management model. More or less, I have explained what is public systems management to you. I think you no, there is, you will. Is there any doubts? You can ask me. Is there any doubts?
No, ma'am.
So you have understood everything. I know none of you are in this link because the talk is recorded, so you will get the recording later on. So none of you are here. Anyway, so what you are, so when you are talking about the public systems management, the most important thing is that you must have a clarity in your mind regarding the difference between traditional public administration and the traditional public administration model and the new public administration model. So, what is this traditional public administration model? If you read the Mohit Bhattacharya's book, this idea will be more clear. It is written there in a very well defined way. So, what you find is that uh, if you have the traditional public administration model, what was it? What in a traditional public administration model, how the public institutions function? Because what is administration? You have certain public institutions, and the work of the public institution is to provide services, distribute public goods as per the rules and regulations. So, who were the managers of these public institutions? The public institutions were in the hands of the administrators. Now, these administrators were uh, just like they were owners of that administration, or just like, I'm talking about the traditional administration. state was having some monopoly. So understand the traditional administration was based on more on written documents. There were hardly any meetings. There was hardly any interactions. It was the organization was more rule governed, more process oriented, not result oriented. Whether the people got the benefit or not, nobody was bothered. People had no avenues to express their feedback. They were not in a condition to question the administration. People were just passive recipients of benefits, not active participants. Remember, this is the basic difference. People were just passive recipients of benefits, not active participants. Offices and tasks were arranged hierarchically. Hierarchy was the was the principal structure of administration. Hierarchy, it is just like a it is just like a triangular structure pointed at the top. At the top of the hierarchy is the chief executive. At the top of the hierarchy is chief executive, and at the bottom of the hierarchy are uh, the lower level officials. So naturally, though all officials at different levels were doing their work, but uh, the the chief executive was considered as the boss. The chief executive can do and undo things, can take any action against. Right now, things are there, but think about a organization which has a horizontal structure like the present day organization. The organize suppose TCS, suppose Infosys. What is happening? Different projects are coming. The people who are working in TCS, they interact with TCS through a system. Everything is done through the computer, through the virtual surface. And only those people who are working in that project. So, who is the uh, uh, boss of your of yours? The project lead. Now, see, the project lead can give you rating, but the project lead is not cannot deduct your salary, cannot uphold your promotion, nothing of that sort, which happens in a hierarchical organization. Now, government today is also adopting the hierarchy. There are much debate on this concept, whether there is hierarchy or not. But the young employees of any organization today are not bothered about hierarchy because even at a young age, they enjoy power, they enjoy more salary, and they they have to deal with few people, not with a system. So this is called a flat system where you have hierarchy is there, but the structure is much flexible. The people who are appropriate for the job are hired. So that is why you have more job satisfaction if at a very early age. Some of you might be having a job and doing this course because you want to add to your skills. So uh, this is how we never had this open university concept in 1960s. Never ever we had this open university concept. Never ever we had this idea of having multiple degrees, idea of being acquiring skills in a multiple way at one point of time. Okay, so this is the traditional public administration uh, where there was hardly uh, the political and though there was politico administrative dichotomy, but hardly there was any dichotomy in true sense of the term. So basically then you find the public management perspective has been shaped by neoclassical economic principles. So the traditional administration should be matched with classical economic principles. Classical economic principles means that uh, you know, you are talking in terms of monopolies. You are not talking in terms of an open market where more players are there and more competition is there. Okay. So, what was the initially when the Britishers introduced the post of district collector? What was the work of the district collector? The work of the district collector was revenue collection and service delivery. That is all. But now uh, now the collector has multifarious function. That means the uh, today the collector is responsible for uh, absence of hunger in a particular district. If there is any hunger rate, the collector is accountable for that or responsible for that. Why? Because we are focusing more on result rather than on process. ତେଣୁ କୋଉଠି ଗୋଟେ ଖବର ଆସିଲା ମାନେ ସାଙ୍ଗେ ସାଙ୍ଗେ କଲେକ୍ଟର ଆଗ କହିବେ ବା ବିଡିଓ ଆଗ କହିବେ ଆଗ ତାକୁ ଆଗ ତମେ ଖାଇବାକୁ ଦିଅ ତା ଘରେ ଆଗ ଚାଉଳ ପହଞ୍ଚାଅ ତାପରେ ଯାଇକି ଯାହା ହବ. So the traditional public administration was more structural in nature. We everything was to be done through a proper procedure. Today, the governance environment is more technical, more digital, and basically you remember the word smart, simple, moral, accountable, responsive, and transparent governance. So today's, if you just try to understand today's workplace, ଯୋଉଠି ଅଫିସଟା ଆମର ଯୋଉ ଅଛି ଆଗରୁ ହାରାର୍କିକାଲ ଥିଲା ବର୍ତ୍ତମାନ ତମେ କଣ ଦେଖିବ flat organizational hierarchies, more temporary workers, wide use of subcontracting and outsourcing, massive downsizing of permanent workers, more individual bargaining environment. ତମେ ଦେଖିବ ଆଗେ ଟ୍ରେଡ୍ ୟୁନିୟନ ମାନେ ଭାରି ବଳଶାଳୀ ଥିଲେ ବର୍ତ୍ତମାନ ସେ ଟ୍ରେଡ୍ ୟୁନିୟନ ମାନଙ୍କର ଏତେ because the companies are dealing with the person individual. The individual କୁ ଯଦି ଭଲ ଦରମା ଦେଲେ ସେ ଇଣ୍ଡିଭିଜୁଆଲ ଆଉ ଏତେ ବ୍ୟସ୍ତ ହଉନି ଏଇ କମ୍ପାନୀ ଯଦି ଭଲ ଲାଗିଲାନି ଛାଡିକି ଆଉ ଗୋଟେ କମ୍ପାନୀକୁ ପଳେଇବ ତ individual is not actually interested to uh, and take the help of the unions which will ultimately give them more uh, benefit. Okay, 1 minute. So what you are finding is that what you are finding is that the vertical hierarchy is giving way to horizontal networks and a shared leadership structure. Both the bureaucrat and the technocrat are working together to get the best output in the system. So it's a collaborative process. Okay. So remember, the basic principle of public system management is to distinguish policy from execution. Execution must be very scientific. Okay. More providing better services uh, with lesser cost. And if there is any any malfunctioning of the system, then immediately the system will be reformed. This thrust was there. It is not that the thrust has come today. This thrust was there with India even during the in the approach paper of the 10th 5-year plan. The 10th 5-year the period for the 10th 5-year plan is 2002 to 7. At that point of time, the approach paper of the 10th 5-year plan has identified 3 to 4 problems, challenges, critical challenges uh, for civil service. One such is ensuring long-term affordability of the services. Can we have these permanent civil servants for such a long period, giving them more salary? But however, we are not yet capable of introducing much reform in this area. Ensuring procedure for rewarding and promoting merit that the government has introduced now, reshaping the bureaucracy and introducing a new work culture at all levels. The government has been able to introduce it, and government is taking critical perspective of those officials who are not working properly or who are not performing better. Okay. Uh, I hope now you have understood the bureaucratic system and the public system management system. The basic thing that you must keep in mind, the bureaucratic system considered the individual as passive recipients. Like the colonial government thought. But the public system management considers the individuals as the active beneficiaries. The system is such that it provides room for giving your feedbacks and accordingly it reforms itself. The system immediately, with no time, the system tries to reform it. I don't know how the system, such uh, in our country we might be having, but I remember the days when I had to go to the gas agency personally to get the cylinder, a filled cylinder, keeping a good relationship with the gas agency and going to the agency uh, mm, and giving putting my demand for a cylinder now with no time, you just mm, ask make the booking online through your registered mobile number, and immediately the complaint the invoice the registration number comes, and in a day or two the invoice is generated. So to what extent, you people, you may not be able to understand it, to what extent we were being tasked or stressed to get a gas cylinder, and that is highly necessary, and to what extent we interacted with the gas agency to get a second cylinder. And today there is no even if gas is available in the market also, like if you have small cylinders you can fill it, if you have double cylinders you can get it immediately. No, this is how the system is. If you just analyze the delivery of services of LPG cylinders, you will be able to understand the public system management, the way it is functioning. Basically, you must understand the uh, backbone, the strongest pillar of this public system management is uh, new public management approach. The new public management approach focuses on, the basic philosophy of the new public management approach is that whether it is public service or private service, even if delivery of your registered parcel or delivery of a letter sent through speed post, here the citizen has the right to get quality services. So for that matter, in 1991, the British Prime Minister introduced something called Citizens Charter. Now, Citizens Charter today is very popular. The organization must come out to say what are the services it is providing. If it fails to provide the services, who is the ombudsman to whom the people must contact? Now, today you see, UGC has made a guideline that every university must have an ombudsman. Okay, ombudsman is just like an umpire. Now, the state offices are no longer umpires. Every organization must declare an expert to be an ombudsman who has knowledge regarding this. Okay, so this is how, if you can understand, I hope you by now you have understood uh, what public system management is. Now the time has come, it is unit 3, where you will be surprised to know that the unit 3 gives you more questions. If you just see the content of unit 3, I have already explained you how, to what extent the constitutional framework is essential for a public system. It is the supreme law of the public system. It is the foundational principle of the public system, and based on which the system is managed. Undoubtedly, the subsystems has their own autonomy, has the subsystems have their own rules and regulations. The subsystems have their own strategic planning, but the subsystems must function within the constitutional framework. Therefore, the third unit is basically discussing about the constitutional context. So I will not spend much time on it. I will just tell you about, since I have already told you about the constitutional environment of public systems in India. The utility of the constitutional framework for public systems in any country I have already explained to you. Now you understand what is the framework of the constitutional framework for the public systems in India. When you are talking about constitutional framework, should you forget about the preamble? Should you forget about the basic structures of the constitution? No. These are the these are the strong pillars of the public system in our country. So you must understand that when we are talking about the preamble, we have to say that we have to remember that our public system is operating within a democratic framework because we, the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, democratic republic. Sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic. So when you are talking about like this, then you have to keep in mind that what are the ideals of our public system, what are the uh, philosophy of our public system, how the public policy is made. It is also there, that is, we have a parliamentary democracy. People choose the representatives democratically, and these representatives make the public policy for us. And our structure is a federal structure because we have allowed diversity. We have searched for unity in diversity. We have allowed the cultural distinctness of each and every state. So every state is having its own uh, policies. Every state is empowered to make rules and regulations on the state list given in the seventh schedule of the Constitution of India. Now, however, while making the law, the state must not make any such law which will contravene the constitution or which will contravene the central laws, because the central laws are there to have a democratic edifice for our public system. So therefore, federation is also a strong pillar of our constitution. Then we have these are considered as the basic structures, or you can say the pillars of on which the administration is being placed. You can say the foundational pillars like the fundamental rights, the fundamental duties, the directive principles of state policy, the independent judiciary, and the power of judiciary to declare a law as constitutional fully or partial. I hope you understand now. So this is not all that difficult for you, but if you might get a long question or you might get short questions on this, because each and every basic structure can be considered as a short question, can be considered as a 5-mark question, 8-mark question, 10-mark question. But however, such questions will be asked in the Indian government and politics paper also. or Indian administration paper, not politics, Indian administration paper. Besides these foundational principles, the Constitution has also uh, prepared a framework for certain public institutions, like the Comptroller and Auditor General of India, which sees that is there in Article 148 to 157. What is the duty of this Comptroller and Auditor General of India? To see the money earmarked by the Parliament, whether spent for the purpose, whether spent for in a, proper way or not. Then the Constitution has also given us certain commissions, like the Election Commission, which looks after, which manages the periodic elections in our country to state assemblies and parliament, to the post of president, the post of vice president, like that. We also have certain commissions, constitutional institutions like Union Public Service Commission, which manages the recruitment service conditions of the civil servants. We have also a constitutional post that is there in Article 76, Attorney General of India, with the law officer of Government of India. The state level also we have Advocate General. Besides, we also have certain commissions, constitutional commissions, like National Commission for Scheduled Caste under Article 338, National Commission for Scheduled Tribes under Article 338A, Commission for Linguistic Minorities, Article 350. We also have Finance Commission, which decides rules for distribution of finances between center and state. We have a language commission which decides about the official language of the nation. We have also parliamentary committees. We have also state public service commissions, administrative tribunals, the state finance commissions, and all these. These are all constitutional institutions in our as part of our public systems management. uh, each one of this office, each one of these institution can be as shortness. So nothing analytical, nothing critical about it. So you yourself can read these things from any Indian constitution book. Okay. So what? So unit 3 is not actually difficult for you. You can easily scan through this unit 3. You can prepare this unit 3 properly. There will be no problem for you. Okay. Regarding unit 4, you know, unit 4 is talking about the political context of the public systems management. Here this you have to understand this unit little, uh, you know critically. You have to understand this unit, otherwise you will be in trouble, because you will not be able to uh, talk about uh, this. You will not be able to answer the questions regarding this unit. The basic content of this unit is what is the political environment of the public systems management, what how the state is withdrawing in every area, how the state is accepting the role of a regulatory, how the we today we have SEBI, we are allowing the stock market to operate, and we have given empowered uh, SEBI to look into the stock market. and we have a competition commission. We have no, we have developed many such in public institutions to work as regulators so that citizens' rights are not violated. Because it is who more important in a public system management is the citizen. Because the consumer, the new public service approach, which was mooted in the third Minobro perspective. Uh, in 1988, the new public management approach was discussed. In 2008, the new public service approach was considered. Now, what is this new public service approach? It is not there in the political context, but however, if you understand it, it will be better. You can mm, understand the political context of public system management in our country. So, the new public service approach emphatically states that the citizen is both a citizen and a consumer. Because what the government is doing with the taxpayers' money. So government is accountable to tell the people what did, how did it spend the money, whether it is appropriately spent or not. So therefore, the government is questioned time and again how this money is spent. Now see, we have this Pahalgam attack. So here what is happening? The government, people are questioning, okay, the government is responding in a very proactive way to the attack. It is putting some, consolation to the people, to the citizens of the country, that yes, the government is taking appropriate actions against the terrorists. Okay, but people are asking, why is it so that, you know, in the tourist spot, there was no such security arrangement? No, these things, why the people are asking so? Because the people are asking because the state is a service provider here. Security is not in the hands of the private sector. Security is in the hands of the government. So since the people have learned that they are consumers, they are citizens, they are being empowered by the constitution, so they are asking the question to the state. So this is the new public service approach, which says that, in 2008, the theorists in public administration, they emphatically said, don't say that the citizen is just a consumer. You, the citizen, you just cannot consider a citizen as a consumer. If you go to America, if you go to the European countries, there if we are buying something, there we are a consumer. But how can I be a consumer in my own state? I am both a citizen and a consumer. So therefore, the people ask the question. So people can ask the question. So this is the new public service approach, where the a network of, or if the government is failing to provide service because it has lack of resources, then the government is taking the help of the private sector to provide a network of organizations to provide the service. Like you just, I will give you one example of the health sector, where see the health infrastructure is insufficient. So what the government did? The government gave a health card to every uh, citizen who is not having sufficient resources to take care of his health. So The government said that in the process, what the government did, the government made such rules like that. We have given you place, we have given you land, we have given you land in a very, very subsidized price to make a hospital. So the private sector must take the burden to provide services to the poorer citizen. Now, today, the poorer citizen can take the health services from private, say, hospital, a costly hospital like Apollo, like Amri, like Manipal, like KIMS and all. How the hospitals are giving services? It is a network, The hospitals will claim the money from the insurance company, and this insur and the poor citizen doesn't have to bother about it, just have a card. The government is responsible for identifying the beneficiary and to provide the card. Then the government has created a network of organizations to provide the health services, the health care. So this is how the new public service approach says. Just do not consider the citizen as a consumer only. The any human being can be a consumer in any part of the world. So what is the distinctness about being a consumer in your country? So if you are a consumer in your country, then you are both a consumer and a citizen. This is the new public service approach which talks about network governance, and this network governance provides services to the people. So what is happening? State, rolling back of the state. It is, remember the phrase, rolling back of the state. Rolling back of the state মানে কোন state কোন হটিগলা পুরা? No, state is there. But all the time, you are not getting the services from the state. তুমি যদি Apollo treated হଉଛି ଗୋଟେ patient, তাহলে সে কোন state service পাଉଛି? No. State has created this uh, network, and to regulate that network, the state has frame laws for the purpose of governance. State, taking the help of non, like how the state is implementing the PWDV Act, Protection of Women Against Domestic Violence. Here, the state is implementing the act with the help of the civil society organizations, the voluntary sector. The voluntary sector is supported by the state to mm, establish shelter homes or such stay homes and rescue such women, provides legal aid to such poor women or such distressed women. So here the state is taking the help of the non-governmental organizations or community-based organizations. So while writing the answer, if you just can provide uh, examples, your answers will be more uh, attractive. So remember this. So now the state is to what is you must remember regarding regulatory governance. We will talk about regulatory governance more in next classes. Regulatory governance, because today the state is the umpire, the state is the conflict resolver, the state is the crisis manager and the facilitator. So the state, with the help of its institutions like its organs, the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary, the state is making itself stronger and stronger to work as an umpire, because every service provider, including the government, is a player in the market. And accordingly, there is competition, and in the competition, the consumer who happens to be a citizen must get quality service. So you just see how the mobile revolution has taken place. If you have a BSNL number today, you have linked that number to your bank account, to your PAN card, to anything, and you are not satisfied with a particular service provider. Today you have portability. You can just transfer you will have the same number, but you you can just transfer your network from Geo to BSNL, or from BSNL to Airtel, like that. So what is happening when this fear is there in the minds of the service provider? The service provider will give you quality service. So this is actually, uh, you know, gradually we are upgrading our administrative system. We have to understand it. We have to understand the nuances of administrative reforms. So today we have actually, this is called the new managerialism, where we are introducing managerial principles of the private sector to public sector. That is called new public management approach, where we are making the public sector more result oriented and more effective. So go through all your 4 units, unit 1 to 4. If there is any doubt, you are not able to understand it, any part of it, you can ask me tomorrow. Only you are given one night to go through it and ask me tomorrow, because then we will proceed for further. Remember, managerialism means resource generation. That means, see, in the hospital also, you are paying 1 rupee for your prescription. So therefore, you must keep this in mind and understand it. Okay. So thank you very much. Today's
Thank you,
class
ma'am.
is over. Tomorrow we will have the next units from unit 5. Good night.